All right, everyone, we're here with one of our most esteemed partners, Jessica Touchard from GeoSearch. Really pleased to have you here, Jessica, and get to talk about really what you see is the job market and hiring trends. Jessica, why don't you tell us just a little bit about GeoSearch? Later on, we'll have you talk more about how people can interact with you. But yeah, what's your role at GeoSearch?
Yeah, well, I am the president of GeoSearch, and I have been working here for about 27 years. This is a small family business, as you know, so we have several recruiters here. We've always been focused on geospatial technologies. We work within GIS, GPS, photogrammetry, remote sensing, and Earth observation markets. So I'm typically working mainly with private engineering and surveying and mapping companies primarily. And as the industry grows, now we're working with insurance and commercial real estate and everything else. So we have a lot of various types of clients who utilize geospatial and mapping technologies.
That's great. Small family business. That means you really care and give personal attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that reach go internationally for any of the companies that I know that are big multinational companies?
We do. I would say 90% of what we do is in the US or Canada, but we do have international positions, certainly with these companies that are larger. And we also often have companies from overseas hiring us to help them fill their positions in the US. So we have partnerships with other recruiting companies there in different in Europe and Australia where we would help them in this geography.
All right. So quite a bit of reach.
Yeah.
All right. The key question that our audience is really looking for, because you are right there at the front lines, is the state of the GIS hiring sector. Is it diminishing, stable, growing? What do you see?
I think it's changing. Let's put it that way. In my opinion, it's still growing. It is, we are doing a collaborative survey actually with maps and we are finding as we look into that there's a lot of displacement, obviously, of geospatial people within some sectors, but then it's growing in others. And internationally, it's definitely growing. The trajectory of geospatial is like to triple in 10 years or something. So that piece is positive. I think that we are experiencing here in the US some change in focus of our sector. And so I still see it being stable, but I don't know if we've been robustly growing for about 10 years, and I do see a little bit of a leveling off right now, but I do think it's still stable.
All right, so changing in types of jobs and skills, I'm sure, but stable in the number of job opportunities. And you mentioned maps. That's for everybody that doesn't know what maps is. Mapping and Photogrammetry Professionals is a national association we're both part of, and really is dealing with a lot of the airborne sensors and data collection that states, feds, county organizations would hire. So lots of opportunities there. Okay, well, that's good to hear that it's not diminishing, even though the job market feels challenging.
It does. Yeah.
And speaking of the challenging job market, it leads me to the term DOGE. Limiting funding for many of these natural resource agencies. So if that's being suppressed, then what other avenues for government opportunities are you seeing?
So I've been talking a lot to our clients about this, because obviously our commercial mapping firms and clients have had to pivot as well. And what I've heard is, still in USGS, all of those contracts have been awarded. So that's a good kind of still a stable environment, I guess. They're also still seeing disaster response and wildfire mitigation as opportunities, although it may be shifting more to state and local type governments rather than, FEMA and who we usually have turned to with it. Although I still think there's some there too, but even, DoD and Intel remains fairly strong, although it's always been a little bit of a different market to me. We're not a firm that specializes in Intel. We recruit for it, and but we don't specialize in it. So I'm not always in tune with exactly how that's changing, but they seem to still be fairly robust. I just went to the GeoInt conference with that, and that seemed to be stable. And then our firms that are working in state and local government, utilities, commercial real estate, those types of things that are outside maybe a little bit of federal government are seeing, pretty stable work.
Commercial real estate. So that is really on the fringes of what someone like Esri would, pretty much present lots of applications and solutions. What's the type of job in the commercial real estate? What do they do?
Well, so we're actually currently working with a few of those companies, and it's a lot of, some of them are doing site selection, but a lot of data analysis really, in terms of kind of finding where people are coming and going from to certain markets, helping with marketing of different real estate that people are trying to sell. Obviously, like these people would go to this mall first. That piece, that commercial real estate sector, we're seeing from surveying, land surveying, LiDAR, all of that data collection piece, all the way through GIS and getting that data ready for people who are interested in knowing about different properties.
All right. So people always want to be thinking about upskilling. I mean, the technology evolves so quickly that everybody, doesn't matter how many years of experience you have, should be keeping up. And we create a GIS jobs report where we do a matrix, a pretty quantified analysis of the last 300 jobs, what skills are being asked for. So people can see that on our site, but I want to get your opinion. What do you see as the most marketable skills to help you fill the jobs you've got?
So our clients are typically looking for a combination of technical skills, which in that, what I call that is still an Esri base. I would say majority of our customers are looking for Esri skills. The most in demand right now are cloud enterprise type skills. And then we have quite a few opportunities within database development, web application development, and cloud, just the general cloud atmosphere of geospatial data and GIS. So those are the things that we are often looking for. When we talk about just a GIS specialist anymore, that means the familiarity with GIS, but it's really more of an IT function in at least the demand positions we see, where they're going to be doing administrative functions, security, helping with upgrades and migrations of data. So that kind of background really is what our customers are typically looking for.
Well, happy to hear we're in the same page, because that's the name of our bootcamp, Enterprise GIS. Because yes, the cloud, using AWS and Python and setting up servers and making map applications, really takes the GIS analyst to be equally a GIS developer to develop those applications. And
it really is moving toward more of an IT function, and to some people's chagrin, but it's certainly coming more in line with those, I think. And I looked at your list, and I was very in line with what you saw too.
We tell each of our students, if you want to become the most marketable, it's not necessarily another conservation class. You should choose 2 developer classes off of our catalog, and everybody respects that and does that in their course selection. So feels like we're doing the right things.
Yeah.
All right. The other big thing that's on people's mind is, oh my gosh, all of these industries are being impacted by AI. So what do you think about AI coming in and making jobs disappear as GIS analyst, or evolving? What's the deal?
Hopefully, let's hope. I don't know if anyone knows the answer to that question, but I think they are evolving. I do think that some of the, and just as what we were just talking about, the function of a GIS analyst becoming more IT focused and more development focused is automating tasks. That's what AI is also doing, some automation of repetitive tasks that will allow kind of a more elevated professional to utilize the data after that. So I don't think, that's what I mean by evolving. I don't know that that it'll be the same, a GIS technician or a GIS analyst, but they're still needed. And that human piece is still very important, obviously, in our industry for accuracy and data, data quality and all of that. So, but yes, I do see more of the automation, and I see more of companies asking for that AI familiarity, and maybe even ideas as to how this could help the workflows, that kind of thing. Because as companies are exploring this, they're pretty new to it too. So they're also exploring it and trying. And so if a candidate comes, an employee comes with ideas and understanding of it, that is really important.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear you say that it's going to evolve the positions, not make them go away, because I feel the same thing. There are kids in middle school and high school. They're using GPT and AI to do all kinds of their particular work processes. So they're going to graduate from college and already expect to be able to do this. Probably the most at-risk people are the ones that didn't grow up in that technology, like immediately using it. So they might already have their GIS jobs or out in workforce and doing something. And now they want to get into, an IT-based career like with GIS, but they should be figuring out how to use AI as part of a workflow process. And that's why all of our classes are being updated, and we're creating new ones to make AI, where it makes sense, a part of the workflow. And then it's that GIS analyst that has to learn where are the optimum places to use it to streamline your work. So
absolutely. And I was really glad to see, when we talked to geography departments and things like that, and even just on the news, that colleges and high schools are embracing it rather than trying to fight it and make it go away, because it can't go away. So we need to use it as a tool, just like we did. You and I are old enough to know when the internet was new and at least in work, everyday processes. So it's it has only made it better and faster and more informative. So
yeah, they did say that when computers came around, like, oh my gosh, we're going to lose all of our jobs, but that wasn't the case.
Right. I thought LinkedIn would put us out of business for sure, but again, you need that human component, and there's still always going to be that need for that thing. So
although I wouldn't want to be an English teacher these days. That would be
true. Yeah, that's been a long time with cell phones and everything else.
Well, I heard you talk about the real estate market. That's part of the business sector. And when I was at the last Esri Partner Conference, I really try to see what are the other growth opportunities in the business sector. Is certainly one that isn't the standard, urban type of organization like a city, or the conservation and groups like Forest Service or something. So what kind of other opportunities in business do you see growing? Because I just saw a video on how Walmart uses GIS for a bunch of decisions I never even thought about.
Right. We've always seen retail customers like Walmart and companies like Frito-Lay and all of that for route planning and all of that. We've seen that my whole 27 years. Retail has been invested. Obviously, it's getting more and more prevalent within their business and makes them more efficient. Now they're doing it for indoor store mapping and some of that mobile mapping and BIM kind of work can also be related to that. We're seeing some in healthcare and public health, which has always also been a sector, but it's certainly a growth sector in being able to map disease, help with immunity kind of issues, and everything that they look into for that. Utilities has been very prevalent for us, and that's both in the data collection, mainly in, I would say, UAVs and UAS technologies. There's a lot of that type of data collection going on in utilities, and the GIS piece. We are specifically seeing, which is kind of a strange niche right now, but a need for a lot of utility companies are still using Small World, which was bought a long time ago by GE. And that was a GIS, a small kind of utility focused GIS. A lot of them are still using it. And I think it's becoming a software that it's not being updated as well as some others. So I don't even know if it is being updated. You may know more than me on that. But basically, a lot of our clients are helping utility sector sort of transform their GIS processes to keep it modern. So again, those IT skills, those database skills, migration, cloud, enterprise. So that's where that's coming in. And then we've also seen some clean energy, like energy in general, but clean energy in particular have been clients of ours. Again, looking where solar farms are going to go, looking where, getting information on different land development projects and things like that. So that's being more, maybe transferred to the private sector.
Yeah. We have a class on how to do a suitability analysis for a solar farm. So that's a perfect match. And I've also been seeing people with public health and informatics backgrounds coming and booking meetings with us to talk about how they could learn GIS as part of that.
Good.
That's good. So the younger audience who comes through and does any education, they're really very wanting to be independent as possible. I understand that. That's just the new lifestyle these days. So they often ask me, hey, what percentage of chance are we going to have to get a remote job because I want to live in the mountains of Colorado?
Yeah.
Something like that. So what's the pie chart look like in terms of the division you see for on-site, hybrid, and remote jobs?
The pie is remote is shrinking, but it's not gone. I would say it's still about 50-50. We have a lot of companies really going to that hybrid model. I would say at least maybe 25% of our customers are all on site, if that. Probably 60% are hybrid.
Wow.
And for certain positions, fully remote, depending. But I will say for the new graduates and the new entry-level people, companies are really seeing more success for those positions to be on site and or hybrid. And I think the reason is just getting them into corporate culture, getting them, interacting with senior level people regularly so that the job is easier to learn and integrate with, and the company is. So there's a pretty strong belief system throughout, especially the engineering and traditional firms like that it is important out of college to do that. As people get more seniority in their business, depending on their role, of course, if it is a position that can be done remotely, that is often granted. So it's almost, just as it always has been, there's a little bit of, paying your dues in the beginning and learning from companies and learning from each other, and then they will set you free. But the more senior level the job, the more often they will give a, remote option.
Yeah, I hear you. And my son got a hybrid job. I said, get in there, make yourself valuable, trusted, reliable, because he dreams about moving to another warmer climate. I said, once you've established that reputation and credibility, then you have much more of a stronger footing to be able to say, hey, I would like to continue this job with you guys. I love your work, but I'm moving. And an organization to have to go through the turmoil of like replacing somebody, it's much less of a risk just to keep the same person once they've already proven themselves.
Absolutely. And I hear from like when I talk with mid-level job seekers, I hear from them a lot how valuable that experience was to be in the office. So I know, especially if this is a first job, it seems like it doesn't really need to be that way, but the networking, the ideas people have, the different projects you're exposed to, just the conversations. Many times, people, job seekers have told me that was invaluable and really got them maybe even going in a different career direction than they thought they were going to be going in the beginning. So I think that is something to keep in mind too. And that's what companies want to do. They want to develop people. They don't for your exact reason. They don't want to have to replace them, and they'd like to develop them and move them through their career. And that is really the intention there. It's not really to stifle people's dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interested parties looking at this video probably to say, hey, what could I do with getting the right skills, and then going through this job acquisition path. So how do students or graduates, or really anybody in the professional world, how do they engage your service there at GeoSearch?
We would love to help with that. We have all of our positions are always listed at geosearch.com. So that's always something to take a look at to get any ideas of trends within the sector right now, what is hard to find, because we are hired by firms when they are having a hard time filling positions. So sometimes it's a little frustrating for entry level people to work with us because they're always seeing these senior level positions. However, all of us over here will help with resume development. We also will help network. We have lists that we provide of contacts within, somebody's city or somebody's state or somewhere they're looking to relocate. So we can help to build their professional network. And then also just, like I said, just career planning a little bit. So when you are looking at our positions, if you see something like that's what I want to do someday, we can help you sort of map that out to get there a little bit in terms of what might have be the positions to be looking for now.
Well, that's great. It's a valuable service, and I tell all of our students that we send to you that you're going to go quickly into that database, and this listing might be out on Indeed or LinkedIn, but the difference is you have relationships with these companies. These companies trust you to find good people for them, and so it's fantastic to have an advocate on your side to not just push the blind button on Indeed. So I suggest everybody go talk to Jessica and her team, and you'll be doing yourself a favor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we present you as a person and not just a resume. We've always told our candidates the resume is really not your friend. It's the way they screen you out. And so we want to present your full self, and not only your skills, but your soft skills, the fit within the culture of an organization, all of that. And that's really what our companies are looking for.
Yeah. Well, been delightful conversation with you, Jessica. Thank you. And I'm sure our audience will digest all of your thoughts and take that to heart as they really are trying to find meaningful careers in our GIS sector, which we want them all to do. So we're all on the same page with you. We hope we can support you in education and finding the job. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for everything you do. Thank you.